Hi, this is Saintjerome of cryptocurrencies bringing you yet another crypto experience, and we're going to splash in some precious metals and some dead fiat currency. The man behind me is Jim Willie. He puts out a newsletter every month, and his website is www.golden-jackass.com. Don't forget the hyphen. Very informative newsletter. It tells what's going on in the world. Wow, he's got a lot of contacts in different industries and different countries, pretty much everywhere. So it's pretty impressive. He nails things. I'm going to just throw an accuracy at him of 85% or so. And when you take that with other people like Cliff High and the Future Forecasting Group and different biblical prophets, you kind of start to gather a picture of what's happening in the world. But this is a man who didn't think too much of cryptocurrencies, but then after he learned more about them, now he says, "Oh yes, I see what's going on there." So this is Jim Willie, and I'm going to paraphrase Jim. I have a little trouble with my recording right now, so let's hope that this works okay. I'm going to try to. So Jim's mother, I guess, when his little boy called him her little jackass. So he incorporated that into www.golden-jackass.com. Now, I'm not getting anything from this, but I want to make sure Jim Willie gets his due, and I'm not just directly stealing his intellectual property. And I'm trying to promote it, actually, the home of the hat trick letter. So that's what we're talking about now. I'll put a little fiat currency behind me as we talk about here. Um, our federal deficit has hit a point of no return. The CBO has issued a dire forecast for our U.S. debt. Debt level is around $36 trillion, guys, and rising about a trillion every 100 days. Sounds like an impossible thing, doesn't it? We're never going to get out of our debts. But what they're not mentioning is the fact that we are switching systems. To quote Jim Willie in the March newsletter, the global banking system is in the midst of a mysterious overhaul to remove the Rothschild system influence, which is no more. The quantum financial system is coming into view. Heard a lot of rumors from that. Is it real? It seems to be real to me. In the process is going to be eliminated mass fraud, hidden slush funds, money laundering, and grants of free money to different board members. So there's big implications that XRP is going to be that payment system. And I've heard that from the XRP dudes. I've got one foot in that camp. I'm a one footer in the XRP camp and the ISO 222 tokens. And I got another foot in the proof of work like Litecoin and Bitcoin, but especially Litecoin. We've talked before, Litecoin had more transactions last year than Bitcoin, much faster. Um, but Bitcoin's that big store of wealth, and a lot of bucks are pumped into it, trillion bucks or more, right? So, but XRP seems to going to be a historic rise. It is what the QFS goes live. It'll probably be powered by XRP. On the March 25th, Donald Trump signed into law the activation of the quantum financial system, officially linking it to the U.S. Treasury. And that's the big change. We are dropping the Federal Reserve and we're going into the U.S. Treasury. So the Federal Reserve will just be an afterthought. So what happens to the mortgages and all the contracts under the Federal Reserve? Well, they're going to have to handle stuff somehow by the quantum financial system, but it's not going to be the same. So I'm hearing a lot of good news about that, but it's going to be rough for a while on the horizon, and I'm hearing it may be rough. Besides financial system, other things might be rough too. So it might behoove one to have certain supplies like food and water, alternative power, just to see what happens. And you know what? If nothing happens, you can still eat the food, still drink the water. So so it's probably going to be running on the XRP ledger. It launches a new digital infrastructure built to replace the corrupted, privately controlled SWIFT. SWIFT is the one we use now in the Western world, and we go through so many middlemen, and they mark it up so much. But when it's everybody goes to XRP, it is going to be super fast and cost pennies. Big thing it's not in the news is the Japanese banks are pretty much all switching over to XRP really soon. That is a big deal. Let's see what else we got. Trump's order officially recognizes the QFS, the quantum financial system, as part of America's financial core under national control, not those globalist malicious dudes, right? Like the Rothschilds. Um, Jim Willie goes on to say the quantum financial system is not a myth. It's a real operational and officially the new core infrastructure for U.S. Treasury transactions. Real-time settlement, encrypted security, complete transparency. It's reported to be running on the XRP ledger. I'm hearing it's going simultaneous to the old system at this moment. XRP brings speed, scale, low cost, and reliability. It's the chosen highway for the QFS. The BRICS nations have been talking about going to the QFS, right? That's BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And I heard there's another 89 countries that want into that. Now, it's not been going real smooth. China has bitten off a little more than they can chew, it looks like. They talk a good game, but I've been watching a lot of little videos on China and hearing news, and it's not what it's made out to be. Their population is growing smaller. They're losing about 1 million people a year. Part of that's from the one child policy they had, and it's hurting them now. Their population, I read somewhere the other day, averages 40 years of age. And even though the United States is a little bit older population, ours is 38 years of age. So they've got less workers coming in the system. They were going good when they're selling goods, but now as the tariff hits, there's factories shutting down all over the place. And the craziest thing they've done is their system's so much different that they got to keep pumping things to fund it. And they were pumping all these real estate companies. They're just building what's called ghost cities, middle of nowhere. I heard they had 64 million more apartments than they can use right now. And they're actually starting to knock down these ghost cities. People invested money in them, and now they're just falling apart and they're tearing them down. I just find that crazy. When I heard about the ghost cities first time, I thought some kind of plan, maybe they're going to like have these to run to if something bad happens, but it just seems like nope, they just overshot. Like what was it, Evergrande went bankrupt, and they don't have the bankruptcy laws like we do in United States, so they're just floundering around. So don't think China is as all powerful financially as they let you go. They're starting to hurt now, and I think they'll be coming to the negotiation table pretty soon. So the new Treasury dollar is also due to launch, mostly likely backed by gold and other assets. It will be issued by the U.S. Department of Treasury. Much debate circulates over the design. I've heard of rainbow currency, that there's going to be different rainbow colors. So I believe, listening to people like Bix Weir and just using a little bit of, I've heard for years there's a lot of hidden gold, especially a bunch of gold in the Philippines. There's a lot of gold in the walls of the Grand Canyon. Rumor says there is supposedly in the national preserves we have that you can't really go back into. We got a lot of gold there too, and there's heard rumors that 630, 40 cargo planes full of gold brought gold from the Vatican City over to the United States. I don't know, a lot of weird things happening. The Pope Francis just passed away. Gold's shooting up like skyrocket right now. Um, so that was my wife calling there. I don't know if you heard that or not. Uh, goes on to talk about Bank America has begun the process of closing client accounts. Speculation is rife regarding financial failure. I've heard this for a while. Bank America might be the next thing to go. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much all he said about what's coming. So let's kind of reiterate. So Trump had the National Crypto Summit at the White House, and they're planning their strategy. So they named XRP, Cardano, and Solana as the big three. Oh, wait. And then he added, don't forget Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? I've talked before. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum. It's got high fees. I think other coins do what Ethereum does now. It had its day. It's dropped a lot recently, but it's still up there. It was about 1,800 maybe now, but it got over that $4,000 range. Bitcoin, it's becoming a big thing by a lot of corporations. So there's got to be some value there. I mean, one Bitcoin today was about 94,000. It's been up as high as what, 107, 108,000. But it's slow and its transaction fees are quite high. Now you can, if you use like Strike, you can send Bitcoin for almost no money, but you'll have to wait. So buying a cup of coffee, yeah, it's not very good at that. If you need to transfer something over a few hours, then you can get a pretty good deal. Litecoin, you can buy that cup of coffee, bam, and it's done just like that. So Litecoin #1 in transactions last year, #1 on BitPay, one of the big pay with crypto exchanges that you use. So well, anyway, I just want to talk about that a little bit and think about the changes coming. I think the U.S. Treasury is a big one. Uh, Talk about linking cryptos with precious metals. I know Glint kind of does that now. I interviewed Steve Hernandez, who was working on a project to have uh, it's called Binance with the PHI and phigold token. They're going to use goldbacks to fund the crypto. So a lot of things like that going on. So we're going through some different times coming up, some challenging times. This is not financial advice, but it might behoove you to get some crypto, get some precious metals, get some supplies, and just see what happens because things are going to get pretty crazy here with United States and China. It just seems to me like the tariffs seem to be working. There's a lot of countries coming over and talking to us now. And I just saw another, I've been watching things about China every day, and it looks like United States and Japan are strengthening their security and their military cooperativeness. And the United States is building like another intelligence base on Japan. And you realize Japan is right off of that area, right off of China. So China's got these crazy floating islands they made, and they're using them to launch different things. So cross our fingers. Hope. Let's hope cooler heads prevail and keeps us out of any conflicts. And the finance is just the worst of it, and that's it. Well, I guess that's all I have for my crypto experience today. Say go see Jim Willie's newsletter. So what's their takeaway again? XRP is a biggie. The ones that Trump mentioned for cryptocurrencies. I like to throw Litecoin in there too because of transactions. I think a dark horse is Theta. I think that eventually is going to pay off. A lot of people have predicted it in the future to do well. Gold is, oh, shoot, the ratio of gold to silver has been like 120 to 1. I think that's going to reverse pretty soon, and you're going to see silver gain on gold. I'm not one to trade back and forth on the ratio, that's hard to measure that. I think, get a little bit of everything and get the ones that are going to do well and just accumulate and hodl. And that seems to have worked well. Like all these things we talked about have increased very well over time. So, well, thanks for watching. And I'm having a 750 subscriber contest right now. So I get to 750. I'm giving away $50 in USD in some kind of a crypto, probably Litecoin, but we can negotiate. Then 20 for second place and 10 for third place. I was a lucky one the other day that it was Randy Hipper's 5 years of broadcasting Miss Teen Crypto, but she's no teen anymore. She's 22 years old. And hey, I won $10 of Bitcoin and I put it on a Ballet Wallet. And I was lightning fast on putting that Bitcoin address down. So $10. So shout out to Randy and her great channel. Well, again, thanks for watching. Subscribe down below. Got a lot of links, Ballet Wallets, Caleb and Brown, a lot of good things. Take care, and I will see you in another podcast soon. Goodbye.